Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Monday, February the 22nd. I'm Gary Stevens. Before we get to our guest, we might have an open line call. Good morning. You're on the WHTC Talk of the Town program. And goodbye. It's a person that didn't want to chat with us. We do have a guest, and of course, whenever we bring him on, we bring on the memory of one Donald Cherry. Time now for Clerk's Corner on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC with Allegan County Clerk, Register of Deeds, and noted hockey fan himself, Bob Genetski. Bob, good morning, and welcome back to Talk of the Town.
Good morning, Gary. It's great to be back on Talk of the Town after that fun Red Wings win the other night against the second-place Panthers, who, as you indicated, might be much improved under the tutelage of Joel Quenneville there.
Joel Quenneville has done a very good job there, but the Wings lost their longtime masseuse and the man who replaced the one that was injured in the car crash after the '97 championship. And, emotions are big in hockey, I think, more as much as they are in football, any other sport. And you can play off the emotions a lot of times, and that's what the Wings did.
Yeah, they played well. They stepped up. Nice to see the rookie get his first goal there, and a big one. So when you can make your first NHL goal, a game winner, I think that's a really fun night for everybody. And I think they played really well against a much improved team. I think people are a little frustrated seeing them in last place in that division, but they're only 2 points out of leapfrogging Nashville and another team. So talent-wise, they're probably where they should be right now, but they're going to pull off some good surprises this season.
And finally, the outdoor games. The novelty is still there, and the setting was very nice, even though they had some issues on Saturday night with the sun and the heat. But still, NHL scored another winner by playing those games over in Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, it's neat, great setting, beautiful setting. From my standpoint, it just hurts to see it without the fans. There's such an important part of those outdoor games. I mean, the whole purpose is to harken back to pond hockey and all, and very sad that the fans didn't get to be a part of that.
Now, if there was fans, it probably wouldn't have been played in Lake Tahoe because they were able to get the setting at a golf course near the lake on the California side. Hockey, of course, we talk with Bob Genetski about, but we talk more importantly about his shall we say, day job, which is the Allegan County Clerk and Register of Deeds. If you have a question for Bob on those matters, he'll be happy to take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. Let me start off with something that you've been championing about over the time that you've been, this is your second term as the Allegan County Clerk. Something you've been a champion for is helping veterans in Allegan County and get the forms they need. Now, veterans ID cards. Tell us all about that.
Well, we're really excited. We anticipate within a month we're going to roll these out, the veterans ID cards. It's one of the most requested services that we've had. I want to put a preface on this. They're not ready yet, and we're not ready to welcome people in to take their pictures yet or anything like that. But let's talk about the premise. The premise is it's an ID card issued by the Allegan County Clerk's Office to those veterans who have their papers of honorable discharge processed or filed on file here with us, or who want to bring those in. If veterans want to do that, remember it's got to be an original DD-214. It can't be a copy. And we're glad to process that, file it in the office. We give them their original back and 2 free copies, and then that copy that they bring down, we can issue copies for them for the rest of their life so that they can access benefits. The Veterans ID card they can use for discounts and opportunities for those businesses that participate in that. And we will furnish a list of both nationwide businesses that do that, as well as some local businesses that offer discounts to veterans. And we're really excited to do that. Again, they should be rolled out within a month. We'll send out a press release. The veteran will need to come down with his or her ID. We'll take a picture of them and create that ID probably within 10 minutes or so. And I anticipate that service being offered by the end of the month.
You know,
By the end of March.
yeah, the end of March. Yes, definitely. Do you know off the top of your head how many veterans, a round figure as to how many could be accessing these cards in Allegan County?
Between 6,000 and 7,000, we believe.
Okay, so it is a good amount. And of course, some might say, well, we aren't in any wars. But excuse me, if you've served our country, you're a veteran. I mean, maybe I'm being simplistic on this, but we deploy forces around the world, sometimes in military situations and conflicts, and other times in peacekeeping situations. Doesn't mean they haven't served our country and do deserve the benefits that they get.
Gary, that's a really important point. I was back when I was in the State House of Representatives. I was at a dedication of a Veterans Memorial over in Martin Township, and there in the land of the Clippers. And I was thanking all the veterans in the crowd, and I went to shake one gentleman's hand, and he said, "Oh no, I didn't see combat." And I told him, "I'm still grateful for your service, because I'll bet the morning that those sailors woke up on the USS Cole, they thought that they were serving in peacetime as well, and probably all those men and women who were serving at the Pentagon on the morning of 9/11. So as soon as they put on the uniform, they take on a tremendous risk and the potential for tremendous sacrifice. So we need to be eternally grateful for our veterans service, and we're very excited to begin offering those veterans ID cards really soon.
Yeah, and the other aspect of that is that some have given their lives during training exercises and accidents that they're preparing, and sometimes accidents happen. That the nature of us humans. So anyway, we do wish to have that spotlighted for those who have served our country in the military. Of course, we always recognize those that serve our country in other aspects as well, be it the Coast Guard or be it in law enforcement, fire services as well. One other thing before we get to the elections, Bob, and it's going to be putting on your other hat as Register of Deeds. Getting requests for deeds sometimes can be interesting. In this day and age, most people probably will make an electronic request of your office. Still, some might walk in. But how about using the snail mail? It takes a little while, doesn't it?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, Gary, because I just got a call yesterday from a really nice lady in Ganges Township. She and her husband came in. They were so excited. They had paid off their home after a long time, and they're really excited to pay that off and get the deed free and clear without any liens against it or anything like that. So they came in January 28th with all the appropriate paperwork, and we were able to process that for them. And then it went out on January 28th, the mail to go to them. And she called yesterday. They still had not received that. So they did everything right, and we did everything right. What I did tell her, if she didn't receive it in a couple more days, we're glad to send another, but the mail is moving very slow, and people just want to be aware of that. I appreciated her call. We were able to look it up right away and figure out where, at what point that was put in the mail. But I understand people's frustration as well.
It's like from an earlier, another era, I think, Bob, more than anything else. We paid off the mortgage. We can burn the mortgage things. And that is a good feeling to be able to have property free and clear. Yeah, you still got to pay property taxes on it.
Yeah.
You're not free. You're never free and clear of that. But certainly, dealing with deeds and dealing with property, and businesses dealing with property as well. They have to go through zoning, obviously, but
Right.
they also have to work with your office in terms of making sure that the property they have is free and clear too.
Yep, definitely. That's an important part of dealing with the Register of Deeds. And we've got, I don't know if I've reminded you or not, but we've got 99 years of experience across the hall over there with some really wonderful deputy registers who have been with the county and doing this for a long time and love to help people. And it's interesting, even during COVID, Gary, how many people we get who like to come down and do business face to face and in person.
One other thing too, and again, this is more my own curiosity and anything else, Bob Genetski. Um, when I drive by some farmland and there's a little sign, the state gives about 100 years that's been in the family. Do the state and work with your office to make sure that it's a legit 100 years of ownership with one family?
Much like you, I love seeing those centennial farm markers, and we've got quite a few of those in Allegan County. We're very blessed. The process is when your family farm or whoever's farm is coming up on that 100 years, you'll need to come down and get a certified copy of that deed before you can send that off to Lansing to get that verified, and then Lansing takes over from there. But it starts in the Register of Deeds office.
It's kind of nice to talk about veteran stuff, deeds stuff, not election stuff with Bob Genetski.
I feel like we just got done talking about a lot of election stuff. I do want to, before we move on to May 4, I do want to mention, Gary, getting a lot of calls and emails, and we don't mind them at all, regarding the type of voting machines we use. We use Dominion voting systems, the one that's been in the news a little bit. We do not have any of those high-speed tabulators that people saw on the news at all, and absolutely none of our tabulators are connected to the internet at any point on election day, nor before or after. So those are the type of questions we're getting a lot of. We're glad to answer those. I did have a woman want to FOIA the contract that Allegan County has between Dominion and the state and us. She doesn't need to FOIA it. We'll photocopy it and give it right to her. That's not a problem.
Of course, when the term FOIA, for those who are not aware, Freedom of Information Act, and there is, of course, a lot used mostly in circles of getting information from public entities dealing with police or with meetings, but it can also deal with county and state offices as well. If you got a question for Bob Genetski, he is the Register of Deeds and the clerk for Allegan County. He'll be happy to take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. A few years ago, in an effort to try to streamline elections in Michigan, there were 4 windows opened up for communities to hold elections. One was in February, March. One was the first Tuesday in May. One is the first Tuesday in August, and one is the first Tuesday in November. The February one went by, and for the most part, usually in a very rare case do we get a February election. Mostly it's a school district that needs the money real fast. But the May election is always an interesting one because it is a lot of times where districts ask the voters to renew the non-homestead millage, or to pass bond issues, or to take care of sinking funds. The May election really is the school election more than anything else. And there are some districts in Allegan County that are going to hopefully take advantage of it. After last year, we had some issues.
There are some school districts in and throughout Allegan County, as well as at least one municipality. As you're aware, the city of Fenville is putting on a proposal to limit the maximum taxation amount of mills that they can put on the ballot. That will be May 4th, and that'll affect only the city of Fenville. When I say that, it's important, Gary, because as you're aware, Fenville is a big zip code area that goes out into a lot of townships, but that'll only apply to the city of Fenville. Then we've got the South Haven Public Schools have a proposal on that will only affect voters in Casco Township at the southern end of the county. The Max Transportation Authority, as well as Holland Public Schools, will be on the ballot, both in the city of Holland, but don't forget that goes over into Laketown Township Precinct 1, which is covered by Holland Public Schools. Zeeland Public Schools has, I believe, a bonding issue and a renewal of their operating millage, so that's going to affect voters in Fillmore Township, the northern part, as well as Overijssel Township, the northern part there, Salem Township, the northern part, and then another more northern part of Salem Township. Voters there will see the Hudsonville Public Schools operating millage. And then the real big one that'll be on the ballot that'll cover a lot of the county is a large bonding proposal for Allegan Public Schools. That'll cover the city of Allegan, part of Allegan Township, part of Monterey Township, Watson Township, as well as Cheshire, Trowbridge, part of Valley Township, and part of Heath Township, as well as Watson and Otsego. So a big part of the middle of the county has the opportunity to cast a ballot on November 4th.
And the important thing is that people need to be aware of when they do have an election and participate in the process. And if we learned anything from November 3rd is the fact that, I'm sorry, you don't have an excuse for one, you need to know there's an election. Two, there's really no excuse anymore for skipping it because, hey, we got the absentees all over the place now. It's time to cast ballots.
It is, and we really we depend on the news to get the fact out, as well as the local schools and municipalities to get the fact out that there is a May 4 election for those jurisdictions. And if people are paying attention in the news, they'll have the opportunity. A lot of people have the opportunity to vote AV if they want, or they can show up in person. So there's, as you mentioned, there's just not many reasons if somebody wants to vote why they couldn't participate.
Okay, let's wade into the Secretary of State's office, shall we, Bob? We got an announcement last week from the Secretary of State's office that, and I'm going to quote the press release, a statewide election audit process affirmed Michigan's vote counting machines are accurate, and Joe Biden won the state's November 3rd, 2020 presidential election. Your office, that of Justin Roebuck of Ottawa County, I think we can pretty much say above reproach. Other areas, questions. But to be honest with you, Bob, can we finally put this to bed, or is it still going to, there's still always going to be some questions over this?
I can only speak for Allegan County, and I have a lot of faith in our local clerks. I believe in the machines that we use, and I believe in the results that we put out. I know that our locals work very hard, and our election inspectors are showing up at more and more trainings. As you're aware, some of those are optional, some of those are mandatory. I feel very good about the work that our people do in Allegan County. I can't tell you about the larger municipalities. Matter of fact, the only time I'd ever seen one of those high-speed machines that they show whipping through the ballots on the news was at a vending opportunity where they were trying to sell us one. We don't have the money for that. So when you talk about processes like re-adjudication and things like that, in Allegan County, those occur right in the precinct in front of two election inspectors. So having a machine take over re-adjudication, I just don't know enough about that. So Joe Biden is president. Looks like he won Michigan. That seems to be the case. I can't speak for any irregularities or any issues outside of Allegan County. I like to think that everybody's trying their hardest to produce accurate results. And
of course, in Allegan County, you would say, hey, we're above board and our results are very accurate.
We feel very good about our results, yes.
All right. A subject that sometimes gets, we bring it up late in our conversations, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're out of time, can't talk about it too much. We got about 5 minutes to do this. Pistol licenses, concealed weapons licenses. Yeah. Numbers look a little high. People a bit concerned. They want to pack some iron.
It's really interesting, Gary. We saw a surge last year, as you're aware. We had 2,855 concealed pistol licenses. Remember, those are good for 5 years, so people can renew them every 5 years. But there were a lot of first-time CPL applicants last year. It tends to happen a lot during election years, but I think it was about 900 over the year before, and it was definitely a record for us. I've never seen numbers like that. But I believe in people's rights under the Second Amendment, and I'm glad that we can help them with that. There are forms online if they go to allegancounty.org that'll if somebody wants to fill out the application before they bring it down. Some people have asked if there's a way to do that online. No, because you need to show up in person and swear and subscribe to an oath, because getting that license is a very serious responsibility under the state. But the numbers are very, very interesting as high as they have gone up recently.
And of course, to remind people on the process, your office facilitates it, but
That's
the
correct.
state actually does the investigation to make sure that the right people are getting these licenses, and people that shouldn't be having them don't get them.
That's correct. And I'm glad you bring that up, because we had a call last week from a lady who hadn't received hers. Both she and her husband applied at the same time. This woman had been divorced, I believe, twice, so her name had changed 3 times. Once we receive that application, it goes to the Michigan State Police. And every time you've had a name change, it takes a little longer to do that background check. So I want people to be aware of that there's no, it's not random, that the state has to look up your name and make sure that you're not wanted in other states or accused of certain crimes that would deny you a CPL.
And then finally, let's go back to when we started our discussion a little bit about your Office of Register of Deeds. And let's put it this way, the people are busy with the Register of Deeds recording documents.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you recall, for 2019, we had somewhere near a little over 22,000 documents recorded at ROD, and we thought that was pretty impressive. For 2020, we had over 27,000. That's a jump of 5,000 documents. Most of those are deeds or mortgage papers. So a sign of the economy and a really hot real estate market in throughout West Michigan.
Indeed. Let's get one quick call before we button up our conversation with Bob Genetski. Good morning. You're on the line with Bob.
Yeah. Did you say WHTC?
Yes, you are on the air.
Okay, thank you. Say, I was just thinking about the insurrection or the mob at the Capitol, and I didn't ever hear, but there were no people carrying guns. Is that not correct?
I'm not certain if that was. We'll get Bob's thoughts on that. Appreciate the call. Thank you.
I just can't answer that question.
Yeah.
I really haven't followed. I obviously I followed in the news. I haven't seen anyone directly respond to that.
Okay, I just appreciate it, because we're out of time with this segment with Bob. I want to thank you very much for the caller, and thank you very much, Bob, for joining us this morning, answering some questions for us. And we'll, if all goes well, let's do this again next month.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Thank you very much, Bob Genetski on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.